And thank you, Swords to Plowshares, for sponsoring this webinar here today. And like Star said, my name is Melissa Washington, and for the next 45 minutes or so, this is going to be a very interactive workshop. We're going to talk about LinkedIn, and we're going to talk about more about the 101, the building of your profile. Here's my contact information. I'll also share it at the end as well. But just wanted to share a little bit of my story and how I got here before we begin. And like Star said, I served in the United States Navy, and after that I got involved with selling janitorial products, and then I worked at different Fortune 500 companies. And in 2009, my life pretty much made a huge shift when I was laid off from corporate America. And I spent over 10 years in recruiting, both in human resources as well as working at a staffing agency. And I thought it'd be very easily for me to find a job very quickly. Well, very quickly turned into almost 2 years. So during that time, as I was looking for work, I got involved with the Job Seekers group, Active Job Seekers America. But prior to that, I had taken some professional development classes for professionals that are in transition. And just so happens, and this was 4 years ago, so this is 2010, there was a class about how to use social media to find work. And the topics were, of course, utilizing LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And the presenter, was sharing the information about LinkedIn, but I kept piping in. I've been on LinkedIn since 2004. LinkedIn's been around since 2003. I was an early adopter utilizing LinkedIn when I was a branch manager at a staffing company. So during this time, literally the whole class came up to me and asked me, Melissa, can you show me how to use LinkedIn? So I'm on unemployment. I can't take money, so I can't, take money from people. I said, well, sure. So what I did is I started holding LinkedIn workshops at my house. I've always known my passion is helping others, and to me that was the best way that I could help other people looking for work, was holding free workshops at my house. So for 2 hours each week, I'd have several people come over, and I would show them how they could utilize LinkedIn. I had a projector. I projected my LinkedIn profile on my dining room wall, and several people would come over, and I'd show them how they could use LinkedIn. And I continued to do this for a while. Before long, there was people I didn't know, and I really didn't want them in my house. And I was actually on a journey of reinvention. Didn't really know it at the time. I was still interviewing for job after job after job, thinking I wanted to go back into corporate America. And then the light bulb came on, and I said, you know what, I can start to make this a business where people would actually pay me to do this. So in the meantime, I got involved with Active Job Seekers America. I was the president of a local chapter, and became the executive director, which I've been for the last 4 years. It's a volunteer position, and we have some active chapters here in the greater Sacramento area where we meet offline each week, as well as we have LinkedIn groups as well. And so with that, in 2011, I started my own business, SmartNet Strategies, where I go out to organizations and I show them how they could effectively utilize LinkedIn. I'm also asked to come to conferences to speak, and as well as I do one-on-one consultations with individuals to show them how to utilize LinkedIn. And in 2011, I was awarded the Sacramento Business Journal's 40 Under 40. I wouldn't qualify now, but the reason I like to share about this is because I was unemployed. And a lot of times people think that you have to have a paid job to be identified or to be able to receive something. So I actually was one of the winners, and I was actually the only one that was unemployed. And I won this award for my work with Active Job Seekers and helping people get back to work. So again, my passion is really how can I help others get back to work, and even more specifically, being a veteran and actually also being married to a Marine. We're celebrating our 20-year anniversary this year. So not only I've been in it, but I've been married to it. So I understand both aspects of the military. So with that, I just wanted to share with all of you just some things that I'm involved with, different veteran business organizations, and I would be happy to talk more offline about these, because that's on what the call is about LinkedIn. But I am a certified veteran enterprise. If anyone's ever gone through that process, it's a very painful process. I'm also a member of Navajo, a very active member of our Central Valley Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise, member of WIMSA, local VetNet, last year I was nominated for the California Women's Veteran Leader of the Year Award. I'm also a mentor for Women's Veterans Connect as well as Service to Suits. I also sit on Governor Brown's his Inter-Council Agency for Veterans, and I'm also an active member of our local Veterans Collaborative. And again, if anyone wants to know more information about these organizations, I would be more than happy to talk to you after. So we are all here to talk about LinkedIn. I was able to check out some of your profiles last night, and I see we have a varied level of experience that are here on the calls. And so hopefully some of you that do have a profile will be able to get some tips that you can file. So with LinkedIn, there's currently over 300 million members across 200 countries, and every second, 2 people join LinkedIn. So if you're really good at math, you could probably figure out how many people will join LinkedIn as we've been on this call. There are over 2.7 million companies on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a fabulous research tool. We won't be able to talk, we're not going to be talking about that aspect today, but it's a great tool to research companies. As well as there's over 1.5 million groups that have been created on LinkedIn. And we'll talk a little bit about one of the groups today that I recommend that you join, but also to joining groups and the value of joining groups on LinkedIn as well. So with that, a lot of times people say, well, I don't want to be on LinkedIn. I'm not looking for a job right now. But it's interesting, I wanted to show this infographic. It's interesting the reason why people utilize LinkedIn or how it's helpful to them. As you see, the largest one is 75.8%. It's researching people and companies. So 36% LinkedIn has helped people with jobs. And it's interesting is 80% of people on LinkedIn are not looking for work. But there's so many other ways that you can utilize LinkedIn here. And I wanted to share that as far as building relationships, business opportunities, increasing the marketing and network. Again, this platform has so much, and so many people don't realize how much this platform has, and definitely how this could potentially transform your life or help your business or help you find that next dream job. So ways to utilize LinkedIn. There's 3 big ways to utilize LinkedIn, and today our focus is on the 101, which is the Showcase You. We may look at future webinars where we'll talk more about the research and how to have the social media, the engagement piece, but for today's focus today, it's going to be on building your profile and showcasing you. So if we can contain any type of questions you have more related about your profile piece and making the connections there. So showcasing you. So feel free if you want to follow along on your LinkedIn profile. I always recommend getting some paper out and pen and taking notes as well. So pretty much going to go through line by line as far as your whole LinkedIn profile, and I will pause too. So if we have questions, we'll make sure that we get those answered. So with your profile, you want to go under Edit Profile to make any changes to your profile. And when you're in Edit Profile, which you'll go onto the top bar and you'll click on Edit Profile. You'll know when you're in there because you'll see whether you want to call it a crayon or a pencil next to all the different fields. You know that you're in edit mode there. So pretty much top to bottom, having your name listed, followed by your headline. So your headline is your tagline. And you may have heard people say, well, what should I put there? Maybe you're kind of wondering, okay, what should I list there? Your headline should not be your job title. Your headline should be your branding statement. What makes you unique? It's your Nike, just do it. And you have to think about, okay, what do I really want to put? I've got 120 characters. What do I want to list on there that's going to make me stand out? Because what happens is someone may go and search you, by keywords, and then we're going to talk about that in a second. And you may come up, there's 10 people listed that have, similar keywords as yours. And say you're looking to be let's just say an accountant. And everybody else has accountant headline. But you have something, super, dynamic there about, being an accountant. Or maybe, you're the number cruncher, you're an extraordinary bean counter. You just want something that's very catchy there. And also you want to utilize your keywords. And that's a key thing, too, when you're creating your LinkedIn profile. Because this helps with the optimization, is go ahead and list out keywords that are specific to you. So it could be 5 keywords, it could be 7, it could be 10. These are the keywords that someone's going to use to find you. Also, these are probably the same keywords that you're using to find work right now. So you want to list those out, and those don't need to be the creative or the dynamic. They should actually be hard specific skills. And one thing I tend to find as I talk to employers that hire veterans as well as veterans and looking at other veterans profiles is we forget the word veteran. So a lot of companies that we know the big fad right now is to hire veterans. So as they have people going out to look for veterans, a lot of times they may not be looking for the word Army or Navy or Marines. They are looking for the word veteran. So it's very important for you to utilize the word veteran a couple times or probably multiple times in your profile. And you can also have that listed in your headline as well. Something very important to list in your profile. So again, just taking that headline, and there's different ways you can do the headline. I've seen some people where they'll put, a word, and then they'll put like it's like a bracket there, and then they'll put another keyword. And also too, your name is a keyword. Mine is probably not the best example when I talk about the headline, but my name is a keyword. And a lot of times people that are looking for me, that come to me, are looking for my name specifically, not the keyword. So there, but again, my tagline is catchy. So have something that's catchy on there. Also, another thing to remember is LinkedIn does not spell check. There's nothing worse than putting something out there that's spelled incorrectly. So just remember that, is to make sure you spell check. Also, if you use browsers like Firefox or Chrome, those, if something's misspelled, they usually put that red squiggly line under. So always remember that too as you're putting that out there. The next thing is your location. Everything on LinkedIn is zip code driven, so you want to put your zip code. Now, if you're transitioning out of the military, put the zip code where you're going to be transitioning to, not where you're currently at. So wherever you're looking for work at is utilize that zip code. You also notice too that when you go and add the zip code, it's going to give your specific city or your general metropolitan area. I've chosen, I don't live actually physically in Sacramento, but I'm in the greater Sacramento area, so that's why I've chosen that. Also, right next to that, you have your industry and skills, and just try to find the best industry that's specific to you. You may be able to cross into multiple industries, but try to find the one that's most relevant. Also, having a photo. I've heard different numbers, either 7 or 10 more times likely to be viewed if you have a photo. So it's key to have a photo, something that looks like you. It should not be a picture of you and your dog unless you're getting into, the veterinarian field. It shouldn't be of the solar system. It should be a picture of you. Also, too, if you're transitioning out of the military, be in the dress that you want to have the job for. So really think about that too. If you're a guy and the job you're looking for is not a suit and tie, don't wear a suit and tie. A lot of times when people think professional is a suit and tie. So mine is a professional picture. I don't have a jacket on or anything, but it's a professional picture. I had one gentleman on another call I just had recently. He works in a vineyard, so I recommended having a picture of him out there in the vineyard. So just having that, something that relates to you. And again, being professional, keep all the other party photos, other kind of stuff, so you can put that on Facebook or other places. Also, to having connections, and we're going to talk about that at the end. How do you connect to individuals? And so, just to recap, as far as the headline, just because some people kind of get stuck on the headline, is sharing that so what factor, and again, including those keywords and being creative and being very specific on your headline. So right below it, we have your contact information. And this can be seen when somebody clicks that little Rolodex card that's on your profile. And here, you want to have your email address, your phone number. If you instant message, that's what the IM is. I do a lot of one-on-ones with people that are outside the area, so I utilize Skype. I also use Google Hangouts, but I have this information. So with this information, it's only going to be visible to the people that you're connected to. So with LinkedIn, it's about linking into others. So LinkedIn, so my connections are what are called my first degree connections. And anybody that they're connected to would become my second degree, and anybody they're connected to become my third degree, and they form what are called my network. So my connections are my first degree. So people I'm directly connected to can see my information. And I'm very particular about who I connect to. I think I got 2,300 people I'm connected to. I've been on here for 10 years, but I really have a lot of quality connections on here. So the other thing on here on LinkedIn, not sure how many of you, if anybody does tweet here on the call, but if you do, you can add your Twitter handle directly onto your profile. So if someone were to come to your profile, they can click on it and easily follow you on Twitter. And also, too, having your Twitter account on your profile when you share updates, which we're not going to talk on this call about, but when you share updates on LinkedIn, you can have them go to your people you're connected to on LinkedIn as well as your Twitter followers as well. So you can go ahead and add that. Also, websites. So on LinkedIn, you can add 3 additional websites. So what the websites are, it could be your current company you're at. Maybe you're a recruiter and you want to share job openings. You can do that. Maybe you have you create jewelry, or maybe you're a realtor. Maybe you have some other business. Maybe you're on the board of a nonprofit, or maybe you're on a committee or actively involved in a nonprofit. You can go ahead and list those websites here. So with this, on these websites, you'll notice when you go to edit these or add these websites, it'll give you the option of where it says company or blog or personal. I always recommend choosing the word other. So you'll notice when you launch that and it says other, it gives you another box. And that's where you can create what I call a call to action. So my call to action is learn more about LinkedIn. So instead of just saying my company website, it says learn more about LinkedIn, and it's also utilizing some of my keywords. So if someone clicks on this, it's automatically going to take them to my website. So just, again, another way to have some additional presence. And think about your profile not as a resume. It's not a resume. You are creating this online portfolio, this online presence, and there's so much more than just your experience and other things that would go on a typical resume. This is really, complete a whole picture of who you are, and you can, again, adding these websites. Now, we talked about building that online presence. So once you've created a LinkedIn profile, you have truly created an online professional presence. And one of the ways to make sure that you have that done, too, is to what we call, some people call it a customized URL, a vanity URL. And that's where I have it, the www.linkedin.com, the /in Washington Melissa. You can customize that. So some of you, if you have those letters and numbers, I'm going to show you how you can customize that. So what you want to do is you want to click on Edit. And once you click on Edit, it's going to take you to a new screen. And this new screen is called your public profile. Not sure how many of you have ever Googled yourself. I highly recommend that you do that. Because recruiters or whomever is looking to do business with you, this is some of their ways to vet you. And they could be searching you on Google to find out more information. But once you've created a LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn profile should be one of the top 3 search results that appear. So you really want to have a solid public profile out there. And again, searching yourself on Google, you don't have to go and search yourself every day. I highly recommend setting up what's called a Google alert. And you can just do this by Googling it, just Google alert. And you can set up these alerts all for free. And you can set up alerts with your name, with your company name, with anything you want to be alerted to that pops up on the internet. Google will send you an email. So with this, you'll see your public profile looks a little bit different. And you can actually choose what you want to share to the public. So what this means is somebody's not logged on to LinkedIn or doesn't have a LinkedIn account, they can easily see your public profile. And there on the right, you can see what you want to share to the public. Now to go back to talk about, okay, how can I customize your URL? You want to look for, and yours might be in a different space than mine, you want to look for it says customize your public profile URL. And once you click on that, a box is going to appear. And in this box, what you want to do is you want to put either your first name, first name, and then you want to set the URL. If someone else has the URL, you're going to have to make some changes, maybe add a number, maybe add a middle initial. So then what you've created this customized URL. So if you are looking for work, I highly recommend that you put this in your resume. So at the top of your resume, you should have your name, your phone number, your professional email address, and right here have this link to your LinkedIn profile. That way someone getting your resume can easily click on it. They'll know that you have some technology savviness there. Also, too, if you're looking for work, you should have business networking cards. When I was looking for work on my business cards, I had a link to my LinkedIn profile. Put this on your email signature. If you have a blog or a website, put this LinkedIn profile directly on there so people can click and they can learn more about you. So that's how you customize your LinkedIn public profile. And you'll do that. And once you have it done, it's done, and you can easily copy that URL. So I'm going to go back to the edit profile.
Hi, Melissa?
Yes.
Hi, this is Star. We do have one question that I thought would be timely. I got a question from Howard. He wants to know, what about adding, if you are a student veteran, how about the university that you're attending, putting that in your headliner?
So putting that in your headline. So you're talking about, so Howard, if I understand correctly, you're talking about listing the specific university that you're going to. If that's going to be applicable to jobs that you're applying to, I know when I was a recruiter, we used to recruit for specific engineering positions, and there are only 5 universities that we used to recruit from. So if that specific industry is looking for people in that specific university, I would highly recommend you listing that on your headline, and that is a good question. Thank you, Star. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually have 2 additional questions from Melinda. She wants to know, does LinkedIn use keywords for the entire page or only within the tagline under your name?
So to answer that, Melinda, so your keywords start from your headline all the way to the bottom. Even when people submit recommendations we're going to talk about, any words that are listed on your profile, everything starts from that headline down below. Or even from your name, because your name is also a keyword as well.
All right. She also has one more question. Is what's in the blue the only thing seen by everyone, while what's in gray is just for your contacts?
So what's visible to your connections is just the email, phone, address, and instant message. Those 4 items are only visible to your first-degree connections. And then everything below that is visible to anyone that may come to your profile. Hopefully that answered your question. Right? Anything else, Star? All right.
Hi, Melissa. Sorry, those are the only questions posted at this time.
Okay, great. I'll keep moving along. So the next thing on your page, and I'm back to the edit profile piece, is your summary. But before that, I want to share about this. This is something new that they've added to the homepage. When I used to train even just a month ago, this actually used to be under privacy and settings, which it still is, because I'd always tell people before we even start to turn this off. So this here should be on the right-hand side of your profile. And it's called Notify Your Network. So I have mine set to no. So what that's saying is that anytime I'm going to make profile changes, the people that I'm connected to, it's not going to appear in their news feed. Because what I want to appear in people's news feed is not when I make a tweak to my experience or education. So if you're going to make, so maybe you have a skeleton profile right now, and you're going to go and you're going to add your education, your experience, and different things. If you keep this on yes, then all the people that you're connected to are going to see, okay, Bill just changed his experience. Bill just changed his education. After a while, it can get kind of, I don't want to say annoying, but it could be. But again, if you want to notify people that you've made changes in there, you can. But you can also be strategic. I would maybe recommend putting no, and then maybe make one final addition or change. Then before you do that, click on yes. And that way when people go to your profile, it'll be highlighted what you've changed. So maybe there is something you want to highlight that you want people to know, but you probably don't need them to know every time you're making a change to your profile. And once you've created your profile, you probably won't go back there that often. I mean, every now and then I make a little tweak to my profile, but most of the time mine's more the engagement of the updates and doing research. So I would highly recommend just checking that no before you start making changes to your profile. So going back to the summary, so the summary there is another key piece to your profile. The summary is your story. You want to tell the story through the lens of the buyer. So whether you are looking for work or you're looking to do business with the company, everyone on that side is going to be the buyer, where they're going to buy your services or look to hire you. Tell your story. It's, you know, your story is, it's not your objective statement from your resume, even though I've heard that that's passe now, but and have it be in the first person. Unless your specific industry, it's stuff should be in the third person. It's your story, and tell it. Again, you know, throwing those different keywords in there as well. You really want to make that connection, you know. And again, my story is pretty much a lot what I just shared with all of you at the beginning, and tell that story. And also, too, another thing on LinkedIn is you can add these different media-rich links on here. And I find it to be very visually appealing when I go to someone's profile and they have documents or links. So not sure if all of you know that you can do that. And what you can easily do is you can upload them here. If you go up to where it's like a square and a plus, and once you click on that drop-down, it's going to ask you to upload a file or share a link. So on LinkedIn, you can upload files. You can upload, maybe you have your resume or a one-pager, a bio, or notice of an upcoming event. You can upload PDFs, Word, Excel, JPEG files directly to your profile. And also, too, you can, as well as share links. So maybe you have a video, or maybe an MP3, or maybe there was an article that you wrote, or maybe there's articles you were featured in. You can upload these here. So on the left that I have, in the Business Journal, that's actually a Business Journal article, and the other one on the right is my intro story, pretty much about my summary when I was over at LinkedIn last year. This is my story. It's on YouTube. But these are things you can add. So just think, if I didn't have this, it'd all just be text. So just having something that's really visually appealing on there. Also, too, if you're going to upload like a PowerPoint presentation, I would highly recommend just putting that front page as, you know, something that, again, is visually appealing, because that's what's going to play on the page first. So someone, you know, if you go to my profile now, you can just click on it. It'll take you to the link, whether it's to the article or to the video or to download a document. So again, LinkedIn doesn't spell check, so remember that as you're creating this story. And really, again, tell your story. You know, tell about, you know, when you're in the military. Again, you know, I'm sure you probably heard this many times, is de-jargon the resume, and take out the acronyms, because a lot of people aren't going to understand that as well. And then just tell, you know, especially if you're just transitioning, or maybe you're transitioning to another job or transitioning to the military, you know, tell what you want to do. What gets you going every day? Why do you love to do what you do? Because just think about if it was, you know, if I was a recruiter, or if I was a buyer looking, you know, to add your services or to, you know, hire you for a position, and it was you and another person, and I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to compare LinkedIn profiles. And some recruiters do. You know, how heavy is yours going to be compared to that other person there? So that's your summary. So the next section.
Melissa?
Here, yes.
Hi, it's Star. I have one question from Kimberly. So she says, LinkedIn, post your photos first and then your education. I'm a middle-aged, only some college, and my work experience is the work I want to get out of it. How do I show how smart I really am and what kind of ideas I have?
So do I understand you want to put your education first? Is that the question, Star?
Yes, I think that the question is how she can highlight her experience and her ideas rather than having the first thing people see being her photo.
So the thing is going to be your photo. You can't change that top. But when you're on LinkedIn, like, I'm not on the platform. I'm on screenshots. But when you go to edit profile, you can actually move the different sections on your profile. And you could do this once you get on your edit profile. You can just click on like your experience or education there, and you'll see like a it's going to be like a text box. It's going to go around, and then you're going to be allowed to move those sections up. I know it's kind of hard to vision that, but you can actually change the way that things flow on your profile. And I would be happy to, you know, set up some time with you after the call to show you how that works. But I think that's kind of what you're looking for, is to be able to change the way the profile appears on there. Or anything else?
Yes, Melissa. I think that you answered her question.
Okay. All right. So the next thing is going to be your experience, and you want to add your experience. You want to add any civilian experience you have, as well as your military experience. And if you're just transitioning out of the military, again, I talk about the de-jargoning, and also too, how do you translate what you did in the military to what you want to do? I've also put a link. There's also other MOS translators out there, but I wanted to share this one. I see them all the time, military.com. They all have the different translators. So I feel those are very good tools for veterans to use to figure out, okay, if I did this, then what does that translate to in the civilian world? And also another thing, too, is remember, maybe you don't want to do what you did in the military. Then still list that, but there might be other skills that you had in the military that you can, that could translate to working in a civilian job, or maybe you want to work for the, the federal government or the state jobs. I mean, that's a whole other ball game, too. And also another key thing, which I should have brought up in the beginning, is LinkedIn is not your sole tool to use to look for work. It's a great, fantastic tool to have in your tool belt. But there's also so many other resources out there. A lot of them I feel are untapped by veterans or just people looking for work in general. Is to really tap into other resources that are out there, and of course, Swords to Plowshares being one of those resources. But going back, so adding your experience in, and with your experience doesn't have to be that bulleted look of your resume. You really want to share your accomplishments and other things on here. Again, taking some of what's from your resume and putting it on here, and and changing it up a little bit. Also, another cool thing is you can actually add recommendations directly onto your experience. So on your experience, to ways to get recommendations is, first of all, the people need to be on LinkedIn. Secondly, you need to be connected to them. And third, you need to have the position listed that you would like them to recommend you for. So having that there. And then also, too, another thing is when someone recommends you, if they have a typo, any type of spelling check, spell error, a grammatical error, you probably want to reject that. So you actually have to decline their recommendation and ask them to send you a new one. So always just be aware of that when you do review those recommendations before you accept it, to make sure, first of all, also that they're recommending you for something that you want them to recommend you for. So that's your experience. Again, going back as far as you, again, this is your choice how far you want to go back. I mean, if something's really not that relevant, going back, 10, 15, 20 years, then don't list it. Just list what's relevant for you on here. Again, listing multiple positions. And also adding those links there as well. So again, having that, you can add multiple links. I like just 2. To me, that looks clean. That's just my, the way I like to look at it. I've seen some people have 4 or 5. But having those links, so the link on the left is to a TV segment, and the right is just a JPEG file. So again, the different types of files that you can upload directly to your profile to really enhance it. So the other one is the good old skills and endorsements. Used to be called skills and expertise, and then they switched to the endorsements. So these are specific skills that you have listed on your profile. They're skills, your specialties. And this gives the people the opportunity to endorse you for those specific skills and expertise. And everything, as you see, it's chronological order. So the more you have people endorse you for, of course, the higher the number, the higher it shows up on the list. Another thing with that, too, is you can also remove them. So what you do here is you just click on Edit. When you click on Edit, it's going to take you to another screen where you can just go ahead and just X the ones out, because especially if it's something that's not relevant, it's not what you're looking to do, X them out. Just list what you are interested in and looking to do, and then people can endorse you for those specific skills on here. And with the skills and expertise, this this shows or skills and endorsements. This expertise is the old one, and this pretty much shows up at the close to the bottom of your profile. So listing that. Here, so I'm going to have to scroll to the bottom to look at that. And something else I wanted to bring up is if you look on the right side of your profile, when you go to Edit Profile, it's going to have the recommended for you. These are different sections. All of mine are not listed on the right because I actually have them in my profile. this is a great way for you to enhance your profile. It's probably been a couple of years that LinkedIn did this, and a lot of the reasons that they did this was the largest growing population at that time was college graduates, and a lot of college graduates don't have a lot of experience, but this gives them opportunity to add courses, test scores. There's also publications. So if you've been in a publication, you can add this to your profile. I have it on my profile. Another one that I really like is the volunteer experience and causes. So you can list your causes that you care about as well as your different volunteer experience. Also, too, I recommend for people that if you are in transition and you're not being paid for work right now, but you are working as a volunteer, is go ahead and list that in your experience as recent experience. So that way, too, it doesn't show like, you know, a certain gap in employment because you are, technically you are working, you're just not getting paid for it because you're keeping up your skills and utilizing your skills for that. So just another thing to do. So these, again, you may have more because you don't have them listed in your profile, and the easiest way to do that, you can just drag and drop this into your profile. So again, another way to really enhance your profile, also to utilize more keywords listed in your profile. So that pretty much concludes the profile piece. So I will, the final thing I'm going to wrap up with is how to add connections on here. So I'll pause for a little bit if anybody has questions regarding their specific profile.
Hi, Melissa. Okay, we do have a couple of questions. It is from Irene. What's a best practice for reapplying or addressing requests for recommendations from people that you have not actually had direct contact with?
So for recommendations, so if you haven't had, I'm kind of confused because if you haven't had direct contact with, what would they be recommending you for? So if you wouldn't mind answering that, I'm just curious as far as, are they recommending you for, did you work with them, they work for you, maybe they were a client or vendor, so you can expand on that.
Seems like she's asking about someone who's made a request of her.
Oh, that's them to recommend you?
She's asking when somebody asks her for a recommendation.
I mean, I guess it's the way, I mean, you have to let them know. I don't know, I don't want to say if you feel uncomfortable, but I mean, it's kind of hard to recommend someone if you haven't had, if there's nothing specific to recommend them on. So I would just reply back with that. And I actually had someone, he was like a couple years ago, someone I had fired back when I was in management, asked me to recommend him for a position. And he was out of his mind. I mean, there was no way I was going to recommend him for anything. But again, I would just get back to them and just let them know, I mean, that you haven't had direct contact with, and you're just, I don't know if you want to use the word uncomfortable, but to recommend them.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, one more question from Melinda. Is it helpful to highlight experience and or education from years ago if you wish to re-enter that job field?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially if it's something that you've done, at least you've had some experience, whether it was 2 years ago or 10 years ago. So at least you have that experience. And you can also, you know, list that there, but then also in your summary, talk about that you were in this field or you went to school for this and you're looking to, you know, revamp that because you have the interest in it, and tell that in your story. Anything else, Star? All right. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap up with the connections. So it's very important to connect with people on LinkedIn, and I'm very much a quality connection person. You may get somebody that does a LinkedIn training that's all about the quantity, but I'm very much a quality person, and I like to connect with people. And so one of the ways to connect with someone, if you're just starting your account or maybe you only have, you know, 50 connections, we know you know more than 50 people. So it's really, taking the time, okay, who do I want to connect with? And LinkedIn has a great way for you to do that, and that's where you can add connections from the different different emails that you may use, because some of us use more than one. And one of the best ways to do that is just go to Network and click on Add Connections. And then you could easily import people from, if you use Gmail, if anybody's still on AOL, Hotmail, if you're on Outlook, you can import those contacts into LinkedIn, and it's not automatically going to connect you to those people. And a lot of people get worried, oh my gosh, I don't want to connect to all these people. What it's going to do is put into what I call like a bucket. So say you've got, 200 people on Gmail that you have their contact information. LinkedIn's going to bring that over, and then you can pretty much sift through, okay, who are the people I want to connect to, and then really take the time to personalize the connection request on LinkedIn. And that's a huge thing with me, is I always like when people send me a personalized connection request, and do that with the people that you're going to connect to. And this is one of the great ways to find people to connect with. You can also do a search if you know the person's name, and just type in their name under the advanced search option. You can search them and then connect through them that way. Also, too, on your, I don't have a slide for that, but on your home page, every time you log on to LinkedIn, you always see 3 new people you may know. So on there, if you click on the See More, and I just want to forewarn anyone that clicks on the See More, if you've ever done that, I guarantee you like 10 minutes will turn into a couple hours, because that list is like never ending. And especially if you're really just starting to get your LinkedIn account up, it's going to, bring in people that you probably haven't seen or talked to in years. So it could just be where you're just starting to connect with people on there. So that's another way for you to make connections with people. So when you do look at connections, think about, okay, people that you served with, people you went to school with, clients, vendors. And a great story that I wanted to end with is, his name is John Quinn, and back in 2010, when I was holding classes at my dining room table, he was one of the individuals who came and sat at my dining room table. He wasn't sure about this whole, he'll say this whole linky thing. He was mid-40s and was didn't want to get on social media. And then he'd been regional sales manager position, and he, like he said, he'd always been the bridesmaid, never the bride, kept going to interview after interview. And he came in, sat down, pretty much a lot of what I shared with you guys here today about building your profile and connecting with people. And and he was about to lose his house. He had kids in college. He was just like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, or how, what else can I do? And I told him, I said, well, connect with people you worked with 10, 15, 20 years ago. And he says, well, how are these people going to help me? He lives here in Sacramento, California. Most of the people he worked with at that time were in the Midwest in the sales positions. He's like, how's that person going to help me that I worked with 10 years ago? So he connected with Rod, who he had worked with at a company over 10 years ago. And this was spring of 2010, December of 2010, all because he connected with Rod. Rod said, you know what? We just opened a brand new regional sales position in Sacramento. He started January 2011. He's still there. So had he not connected with Rod, that he worked with over 10 years ago in the Midwest, Rod would not have known that John was looking for a job and that John was located in Sacramento. So, a lot of times you just have to think about that. You never know who literally, may be able to transform your life. And he did that all on LinkedIn. And his story was so transformational, which happens to a lot of people on LinkedIn. He was invited to come to LinkedIn's sales kickoff last January, and he's one of their member panelists up there, and he shared a story about literally how LinkedIn changed his life. So I just wanted to share with you, because you never know the connections that you make or who they might know might be able to help you, in a sense, transform your life. Another thing I wanted to talk about, too, is I know some of you are on the Veteran Mentor Network, and some of you do have the 1-year free upgrade. But I want to make sure that you know that LinkedIn does want to help veterans. I'm actually also partnering with LinkedIn on their veterans initiatives. And one of the things, if you go to veterans.linkedin.com, and on this page, you'll find about other webinars that LinkedIn has, as well as employers that are hiring. There's a lot of information on this page, as well as about getting the free subscription.
Hi, Melissa?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Star. Before we get into the Veterans LinkedIn, just wanted to ask a question from Cynthia. I am not confident to update my personal profile on LinkedIn, but would you recommend me setting up a separate LinkedIn profile for my consulting business?
So with LinkedIn, you should only have one profile because there's only one you, and then you have your business profile. So that's another page which we didn't talk about. That's a company profile. So just like on LinkedIn, I'm a solopreneur. I have my own personal profile, Melissa Washington, and then I have my own company page, which sounds like, Cynthia, you'd want to do. You want to have, maybe your personal profile is very limited information, and you can have more of what's called your company profile, and you can add a company page on LinkedIn to highlight your business. But you have to have a personal profile on LinkedIn.
I think that answers her question, and that's the only question we have at this time.
Okay. So with LinkedIn, you can get for 1 year, it's a free job seeker subscription, and the benefits of that, and this is only for veterans, so key thing too, if you don't have this yet, is you need to make sure you have your military experience listed on your profile or they want to approve it. Is, for one, you can rise to the top as a featured applicant, so if you are applying for jobs. You also get what are called in-mails. You get 50 free a month. Right now, I think it's like $10 a month. So with an in-mail, you can contact someone directly. It's not a connection. It's more of just a message directly to a person. You can also see the full list of who's viewed your profile. We didn't review that today, but that's something I highly recommend every time you go onto LinkedIn to see who's viewed your profile. With the free version, you can only see the last 5 people that looked at your profile. And with this premium upgrade, you can see all the people that have looked at your profile. But I want to share, because a lot of times people think, okay, if I get the premium, then I can see all the people that are anonymous. Nope, you can't. The people that are anonymous, they've chosen to be anonymous. So even if you pay or get the free subscription, you're not going to see those anonymous people. They have chosen to be anonymous, and that's not going to change whether you have the free or the paid version. You also get a premium badge on LinkedIn. So if you go on your profile right now, if you don't have the upgrade, you're in, they call it the in bug, it's IN, it's in blue, and once you get the upgrade it turns to yellow or gold, whichever your monitor displays it as. And then also another cool thing which LinkedIn just added about a month ago is where you can add a banner to your profile. So it kind of has a Facebook-ish look to it, but it's, so you have your profile photo, but then also behind it you can add a banner. Right now I have one of the default banners. It's got a bunch of balloons on it on my profile, but you can create something that's specific to you, and again really to be able to enhance your profile. So if you haven't joined the Veterans Mentor Network group on LinkedIn, I highly recommend you do that. You can just go to your search bar at the top, type in Veterans Mentor Network group, and from there too, then you want to join the there's a job subscription group as well where you can get the upgrade. But also, too, I'm going to send LinkedIn the registration list for anyone that does not have the upgrade, so they know that you're going to be, that you want the upgrade. So I highly recommend. It's free. It's 1 year. Get it. Now another thing, if you have an upgrade and you're paying for it, you can still get the free upgrade. You just have to cancel the one that you're paying for, and then they can transition you over to getting the free 1 year. So who doesn't like free? So definitely do this and get that upgrade on there. And also, too, Veterans Mentor Network group, very, very active group there for mentors as well as mentees. So that pretty much concludes that. Here's if you want to go to my website, my email, my Twitter. Also, every month I send out LinkedIn tips. You can either text on your phone, or you can go to my website and you can join my newsletter list. I'm very much a pay-it-forward person. Again, my passion is helping others, and I do spend time to help others, and I do travel a lot. But if you email me, I usually get back to you 24 or 48 hours. It depends upon where I'm at, and I truly do want to be able to help you. So if you do have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or tweet. Well, okay. First, last question before we end.
Thank you, Melissa. There haven't been any last-minute questions posted. Do you want to wait just a couple moments?
Yep, I'll make a couple months in case someone's typing.
All right. I do have one comment from Howard. Says, thank you very much for this information. It was very helpful.
Thank you, Howard. I appreciate that.
All right. And we've had a lot of back and forth in the dialogue block and a lot of questions and answers, so I really thank you for your time. One question from Stephanie. So I just researched Veteran Mentor Network in LinkedIn. I found it, but how do I join? So I think that I can connect you with Stephanie Luce, and we can make sure that she is able to connect with you about the LinkedIn for veterans.
Absolutely, yep. So just real quick, so anytime you're going to look for a group, once you find the group, there's always should be a button to the right that says join on there. And also, too, if you want more information, you can connect with me directly, Stephanie, or you can go to the veterans.linkedin.com, which will give you more information about the subscription, but I'll be very much open to helping you out as well.
Thank you. We have a question from Karen. Melissa, would you recommend that you go back for anywhere between 7 to 10 years in your work experience, or should it show just more recent experience?
To me, if it's relevant to what you do, you should list it on there.
Thank you. And Javan says, thank you very much for this valuable training.
You're welcome.
All right. At this time, thank you, Melissa, for this informative presentation. This concludes today's presentation and discussion. We'd like to thank our presenter, Melissa Washington. We'd especially like to thank you, our participants. Please note that each of you will receive an email with a web link to evaluate this presentation. Your feedback is important to us, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you again for your time, and this concludes the webinar. You may now disconnect.